Greetings, everybody. This is April 19th, early morning hours when it's being filmed. This is the second day this month of mass 50-51 sponsored protests. Not financially sponsored, organized protests. There are ones all over Metro West and in rural areas as well. Small towns of 10,000 people have protests tomorrow, and there are going to be protests in Worcester as well. God bless anybody that goes there. And if you're hearing about this for the first time, no shame. Google has done their best to hide this, and we will see how many people turn out anyway when people are conspiring to hide this and make it smaller. We're gonna see how many people turn out anyway, and God bless anybody that does. I personally will be. Tomorrow I'm not going to take photos of it and post them online now. I have done that, but I feel no need to do it now. I will inform you as to how many people show up in my city, and it's probably going to be a lot of people. And my sign, and this is segue into what we're going to be talking about today. My sign is going to say, "Free our hostages." This guy is a guy that cares so much about prisoners, so much about due process, that he wants to call his people that stormed, supposedly, that he wants to call his people that tried to overthrow the government and were in jail for that fairly. They had been convicted and gone through the process. He called them hostages, and he pardoned them. He released the hostages. This guy, and yet he's not gonna release these hostages. That's the big story of the week, and it's something that I have done not a great job of responding to. I don't think that it's possible to do a great job of responding to this. One of the nice things about tomorrow is that tomorrow is the anniversary of, tomorrow through Easter is the anniversary of the start of the American Revolution. And I think that's one of the reasons they chose it as a day of protest. Paul Revere's ride through the Massachusetts countryside long ago. Now it's all suburbia. But still, God bless him. And God bless us in our struggle. We sure don't deserve it, but anyway. So, pardon me. So, in light of what he has done, so what he's done, if you haven't heard, and you'd have to be living under a rock at this point, I really should have done an emergency update, frankly. I've done them before for things that are less important than this, but I have not been taking care of myself that well. So, what happened is, I think I've already been telling you about the people that were illegally renditioned to El Salvador. I've mentioned that before, and they do want, ultimately, as everybody warned, they do want to send American citizens there. We're going to see if they're competent enough to do it. In my opinion, this is the moment. And it was on the 14th. It was 4 days ago. It was Tuesday. This is the moment that in which Trump went from being a wannabe dictator to being a dictator. If he falls, if he fails, if he gets impeached and removed, he was still a dictator starting on April 14th. Because the disobedience of a court order by the government, that is what, from the top down, that is what dictators do. So what this demands is this demands everything that people like me in Park Rose permaculture have been advocating for. A mobilization of the American people in all sorts of ways, potentially, ultimately, general strike. And thank God that YouTube still allows us to say that, because it's important to have that. It's important that we ultimately use the power that we have, not just as customers, but as workers, to stop this madness, if it comes down to it, which it very well could. So, but we have seen a lot. I apologize. My voice cracked. A lot of the patience that business leaders and universities and stuff like that had for this man, it stopped like a light switch. It stopped like a light switch when he disobeyed the Supreme Court. So, I made a statement in last week's news video about business leaders that have privately said that this is the moment, and this is where I get to revisit that prediction. It was an educated prediction that I made based on statements that were made to Senator Chris Murphy by business leaders, because he has access to them. I don't. I'm not famous. Not as of when I'm filming, anyway. And so he had access to prominent business leaders, and they told him that this was the moment in which they would act. Universities have acted, something like 60 of them, and all of the Ivy League schools that are remaining after Columbia have signed on to a mutual defense pact, which is unheard of because they're all in fierce competition, but they signed on to that, and I'm proud of them. Business leaders, you've been saying stuff in the Washington Post about tariffs, and I will get to that later. I wonder what they have planned, but so far they have not been keeping their promise. And that was interesting, that it happened that quickly, that it happened literally the day after I made my prediction. So, and I think I released the video. No, that was not my fireside. My fireside was on either Saturday or Sunday that I released it to the public. I filmed it on Saturday. But it was within days of making that prediction. It was very interesting to watch that. So, about that, Washington Post one of the famous rollover newspapers that rolls over and bows down to this regime. Washington Post. So one of the lead editors of the Post says, "Oh, yeah, we should probably impeach this guy." What's the reason? Is it that he's a dictator? Is it that some of other business leaders, perhaps, that they were in contact with, vowed that they would do something if he became a dictator? Is it because of any of this stuff? Nope. It's because of the tariffs. Thank God for the tariffs. Thank God for the tariffs. I said it before. This was my prediction, and we're already seeing it. We're already seeing, finally, the ultra-rich do something to protect this country, which I'm grateful for. Do not hero worship them. They largely got us into this mess. They were a major part of it. But they're doing their part right now, and they're going to have to understand that this was them. They created the conditions that this was possible. But they're doing it because of the tariffs. They're fair weather friends. And so like all fair weather friends, and I was saying this, unfortunately I wasn't saying this to y'all because I didn't have a channel before the election, but I was saying this on a personal level. Back when they were offering Sabrina Carpenter concerts, if I remember correctly, to people in exchange for them voting, for them registering to vote, and it was clearly targeted at likely Harris voters. It is peanuts, relatively speaking, compared to what Elon was doing. I am fully ready to admit that. I'm sure it was also pretty overwhelming to the people that decided to go ahead with that deal. And if you don't know who Sabrina Carpenter is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ever told you about her. It's not a good... This is not somewhere that you go that you would want to bring your children. This is not... It's basically... it's not that much better than a gentleman's club going to one of those places. But in any case, they were offering those for free in order to incentivize people to register to vote, which is just bleh. Not good. And again, Elon did it with $1 million checks, so I'm not saying that boo-hoo. And this was, honestly, I think it was counterproductive. I think more people saw that and voted against it out of spite than actually engaged with that. But I saw those when I would walk around my college, and I saw those posters everywhere. And I wish that they had worked, frankly. I wish that we currently had President Harris in charge of the nuclear codes. Among other things, she would actually be the President of the United States and not a law-breaking imposter. So I wish that it had worked, but it was not good process. And in any case, I've been going on this tangent for a while. It's something that I do. But fair weather friend, the whole reason I brought this story up was that these are fair weather friends. Anybody that registers to vote and gets out to vote, let's say, because of tariffs, or for that, and when it's about democracy. And tariffs are a legitimate policy because they got $1 million checks, because they are personally hurting, and they're very wealthy, but they're personally losing money. Anybody that gets out there, I fit them, or people that are doing it because of those concerts that are, again, it's a gentleman's club. It's I barely. I'd basically consider it a loophole to allow 17-year-olds to go to a and 16-year-olds to go to a gentleman's club. Like, Sabrina Carpenter concerts are not good. And by the way, I should not know that. By the way, I should not know that they're not good. Again, I'm far from perfect. But anybody that votes, I'm making a broader point, anybody that votes based on something like that's that ephemeral, and we were counting on those people to show up, and they didn't. And that's why we lost, because our fair weather friends that we were counting on, that we alienated the entire Christian right in order to pick up these fair weather friends, and they didn't show up. And shame on us for doing that, shame on the Democratic leadership for pursuing that as a strategy. But that was the strategy. It failed miserably, and that's why we're here today. My policy when it comes to fair weather friends is that take the help. Take it. Take the help when you can get it. Like, I would love if these rich donors, and I've been seeing story after story of them finally falling away from Trump. And maybe some of that is because he's violating Supreme Court orders and it is the dictators. Like, he's a dictator now. But that is not, like, maybe that is the reason. And the tariffs were several weeks ago, and they didn't do it immediately after that. But they're saying that the reason why they're doing this is because of the tariffs. But these are fair weather friends. They're no different than the ones that failed us in the 2024 election. And so what I can say is that, and by the way, I will put the link in the description about the video that said that, from the Washington Post, that said that they wanted to impeach him. I will put that in the description. These people are fair weather friends, and so my policy is take the help, but do not be afraid to disown these people. Do not be afraid to disown fair weather friends. Do not be afraid to put the blame on them for how we got into this mess in the first place. People that, again, like me, I can't say that I'm perfect in any of these regards. I haven't stolen anybody's money. I don't run businesses that rip people off. I'm a humble person from a working family and a student and somebody that lives in a humble place. You can see it right now. But in certain respects, I'm part of the problem. Again, I should not know what those concerts are like, and I do. But, and it's something that I really do need help for. But the thing is, these fair weather friends, all of them, you are the, and I know, at least I have a sense of shame and a sense of at least I understand what's wrong. These fair weather friends, they are, what we need to do is we need to accept their help, but we need to really, we need to make a lot of demands of them. You're going to give up. You're going to have to give up a lot of stuff. You're not, for the people that are voting based on those kinds of, based on those kinds of vote buying stuff. No, don't. You're not going to get as much of that anymore. For the people that are voting based on preserving this a lifestyle that is far past its prime, that has damaged so many lives, as I describe in my paper, Mass Child Maltreatment and the Future of Industrial Democracy. So many lives have been destroyed, as well as this election that we lost, that is almost entirely because of mass child maltreatment. And to the people that are wealthy and that have considered themselves above the law so much longer than this administration, all the way back to the 1980s, really, a lot of these people have considered themselves above the law. To the people that consider themselves above the law, you're not going to get to be above the law anymore. You're going to have to obey the law. You might have to testify in an investigation as an informant, or all kinds of things. You might face all kinds of justice. Now the jig is up. You should be glad that if you're on the right side of history, we will make accommodations for you and we'll work with you. But you're going to have to give up a lot anyway, because this is how we got here. And that is my policy when it comes to fair weather friends. And so that's it for today, for the news of this week. We got Trump became a dictator this week, and a bunch of people that were on the fence were poisoned against him, and thank God for that. And who knows why. A lot of it's because of tariffs and because of self-interest. But we'll take whatever we can get now, and just make sure that we have the understanding that we have to pursue justice. Ultimately, we have to pursue justice. And that's what happened this week. God bless you. Good luck at the protests today. This is the first protest of in the period of the actual Trump dictatorship. And God bless you all. God bless America. God bless mankind. And may God keep his promises. Because I believe, frankly, that he has promised. This is premature. He has promised that we will survive this. I believe that. God bless you all. Happy Good Friday. And it's not technically Friday anymore when I'm filming this. But happy Good Friday. And it's kind of a solemn day. And this is a solemn year. And happy Easter when you get the chance. And hopefully there will be an Easter for this country. There will be a resurrection of the rule of law, of safety, of family values, of the economy, and of of the ability to have a future and not have our environment get destroyed and not lose everything. Hopefully we will have an Easter. I love you all. Good luck at the protest. Goodbye.